Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Fisher Football Focus. I am your host Kyle Lumsden. This past weekend the Cardinals looked to extend their winning streak to 4 games as they took on Buffalo State at home on Saturday. Now let's take a look at the highlights. The number 15th ranked Cardinals took on Buffalo State last Saturday in a rainy and cold afternoon game. In the first quarter, it was quarterback Dan Sirigny's off a flea flicker finds Ryan Carney for a 46-yard completion. Very next play, Sirigny would pitch it to Rich Pete, who breaks a tackle and dives into the end zone, giving the Bengals a 7-0 lead. Fisher's Tyler Fenty would keep it himself as he rushes in for the touchdown, tying the game up at 7. After a Bengals field goal to make it 10-7, it was the Cardinals' Tony Fusco bringing it outside and running it untouched for the score, giving Fisher a 14-10 lead. With under a minute to play in the first quarter, it was Sirigny going deep, finding Carney again, this time for a touchdown off a 73-yard completion, as Buff State would retake the lead 17-14. With 12:39 to play in the second quarter, it was Fenty, hit as he throws, finding Mike Coliscio, who makes a diving catch in the end zone for the touchdown. After another Fenty rushing touchdown to make it 28-17, Buff State would answer as Sirigny would keep it himself and rush 5 yards for the touchdown, cutting the deficit to 3, 28-25. But it wasn't enough as Fisher's Coliscio again, this time wide open, catching a 33-yard touchdown pass from Fenty as the Cardinals held on to win 35-25. Coming up next in the studio, we have head football coach Paul Vosberg, so stay with us.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad
One more
today.
time. Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
Welcome back to the show. I now have head football coach Paul Vosberg. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Your team is now 7-1 overall, 5-1 in the conference. How big was this past weekend's game against Buff State and the victory, and what was the implications behind that game?
Well, it was a big game because if Buff State had won that game, they would have been in the driver's seat to win the Empire 8, to get the automatic qualifier. They might have tied us for the title, but they would have had the automatic qualifier because they would have beaten us. So that was a huge game for them. That kind of put them out of the championship hunt, plus it put them out of the playoffs.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about the weather conditions on Saturday. Wet, rainy, cold. Did that affect at all the game plan?
I don't think so. I think we thought we could throw into the wind a little bit. There was a little bit of wind. I think we worry more about that when it comes to kicking games, punting and kicking, and holds the ball up. But passing-wise, we were still going to throw the football. They were still going to throw the football. Yeah. So I don't think the weather had a big say in the game at all.
And this is now your third straight game with over 500 yards, and you set a season high with a total of 583 total yards of offense. How were you able to just exploit the Buffalo State's defense?
Well, I think our kids, the coaches did a good job preparing them, first of all. Coach Kramer and his offensive staff, I think, did a good job analyzing what Buff State had defensively and did a good job attacking it. But then our players executed very well. Our offensive line did a great job, gave Fenty time. Our receivers came up with some big catches, and our runners ran well. I mean, so it still boils down to the players making plays, and they made plays.
And there was a number of times where Buffalo State, they were either leading or you were leading by 2 scores, and then Buff State would come down and make it a one-possession game. But your players would answer, to the adversity and whatnot. What does that say about the character of your team?
Well, I thought that was the biggest thing in this game was the way we did answer, because the only other time we had been behind during the year, really, and we're facing that type of adversity was Salisbury, and we didn't finish out. And we lost that game, and this time I told the guys, you did it, you finished the game the way you needed to finish it. We did not do that against Salisbury, and we did it this week. So I think all the units came through. Defense came through when they had to. They had a goal line stands, which was huge. Then our offense got it out of there. They pulled within 1 score in the fourth quarter. down by 3, and we get a kickoff return by James Chambers, past midfield, offense takes it in, now we're up 10, 2 scores again. So all areas of our game came through when they had to.
Yeah, and I guess now you're heading into Ithaca. The winner of that game, potentially, will clinch the Empire 8 Conference title. How can you just describe how you pumped up are your players and as the coaches for this game?
Well, it's a huge, huge game, and you always tell the guys, there's not many teams at this time of year playing for what we're playing for. They're over with. Their seasons are kind of already done as far as postseason hopes, championship hopes, and so on and so forth. So we're into the 9th game of the season, and we're sitting where we'd like to be. Playing a game that means a lot for not only the conference championship but for national playoffs. So it's an exciting time to be playing football for the Cardinals.
Just like it's heading into your playoff starts early now. It feels like it's a win or go home type game. If you were to lose, you might get an at-large bid.
Right.
But it's always nice to go in comfortable with an automatic.
Yeah.
Can you just describe to me a little bit about Tyler Fenty's play? Yes, he had an interception in this last game, and that was his first interception since the quarterfinals of last year. When he protects the ball, it just puts your team in a better situation to win?
Well, it sure does. Anytime you don't turn over the ball, you got an opportunity to win a lot of games, and turnovers are key. And we haven't turned the ball over a lot this year, and it's allowed us to be a 7-1 football team and so on. And Tyler protecting the ball really helps us a lot because we do throw the football, and so when he's not throwing interceptions, that's great. He's tied right now with Coach Kramer for the record because they both had 22 touchdowns and 1 interception, which is usually you rank a quarterback by a comparison between his touchdown and interception. And 2-1 is good.
Yeah.
22-1 is really good.
It's very good, yeah. And I can't stress that enough. I've noticed that stat that kind of really jumps out at you when you're looking at the score. I also noticed Fusco getting 29 carries, really pounded the ball against Buffalo State. Was that a game plan going in that you just wanted to give the ball to Fusco and have him?
Well, I think we went into the game thinking we were going to play our running backs as we always do, but then Fusco got going and got hot, and sometimes you start to play a hot hand, and he did very well, and the other backs did well when they got in there, but Fusco was the hottest back, and we kept him going, and he did a great job. He responded to it. Yeah,
and what I guess would scare you the most about facing this Ithaca team coming up this Saturday?
Well, they're just a good football team. They're good in all 3 areas. Their special teams are very good. They're always good on kick returns, punt returns. I was talking to our defensive coordinator, Coach Fox, about them. I said they're a very efficient offense. They're not a flashy offense, but they're very efficient.
Get the job done.
They just kind of move it around and so on and so forth. They got some run game going. They get a little bit of pass game going. So they're very efficient. And defensively, they give you a lot of problems because they're moving around. They're a 3-4 defense, a little bit similar to us, and we're a 3-3 stack, but with all the movement in the secondary and trying to disguise coverages and bring people. And so they're a little bit like us defensively in that aspect. But they're just a sound football team.
Well, good. I'm excited for the game. I know the players and the coaching staff is as well, and hopefully the fans and you viewers out there is excited and hopefully can attend the game. So
hopefully they can.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, we have the president of St. John Fisher College, Dr. Donald Bain, so don't go away.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
A great education. Where does it start? It starts at the beginning. What you believe in. At Fisher, our outstanding faculty teach students to think critically, speak powerfully, and write effectively. We continue to help students build lives, create careers, serve the community, all on our beautiful, world-class campus. Every strategic decision in life should be this easy. Discover the world within at St. John Fisher College.
Welcome back to the show. I'd now like to welcome the president of St. John Fisher College, Dr. Bain. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how are you doing? How have things been going? It seems like it's a busy time right about now in the Fisher community.
Well, it's always busy, 12 months a year, but every month is a delight, and last month, October, is no exception, and now as we start November, a lot to look forward to as the month unfolds. So things are going very well. We just have a wonderful story to tell here. Our enrollments are strong, our finances are outstanding, our endowment is at an all-time high. We have wonderful students, fantastic faculty, and an incredibly dedicated staff. So I'm a happy man.
That's good. And it's good to be a part of that.
It is.
You started as the president of the college in 2004.
Right.
You've been a part of the Fisher family for nearly 40 years. How has the college transformed from when you started to now?
Well, there's two parallel lines of development, and one is the infrastructure of the college, the number of buildings, the type of buildings, the purpose of the buildings, actually, the environment in which we've operated in many of our programs and courses. Just as an example, the demands on our science programs have heightened dramatically. Not only in terms of the professional standards needed for accreditation, nursing, pharmacy, the undergraduate programs in biology, chemistry, and physics, but also the actual equipment needed, the OSHA standards, the guidelines, the necessary high-tech equipment needed to help our students prepare for that next phase of their lives as they go into careers. The number of buildings, the expectations of incoming students.
Sure.
All of those things have changed dramatically in 40 years, and the expectation is that we're going to be able to provide them, and we have. Yeah. So that's one line of development, just the infrastructure. I'm always struck by how alums who come back, including this last weekend at the home football game and other sports events, they just marvel at the changes that have taken place physically on the campus. They said they don't recognize it. They're thrilled with it. They say it's beautiful, but they are just amazed at compared to what they had. One little example, when our own children were young, we'd come up to the football games, club football. I still stay in touch with a lot of the fellows who played club football. But we'd come up with our children in the old beat-up station wagon, and I know right over there near Growney Stadium where the playing field was for the club team. And as we got deeper into the autumn, some nights we'd have to turn our lights on and bring our cars up to the edge of the field just so that the guys could see where they were playing. That's changed an awful lot. Have you ever been down to Growney Stadium, or for other events, the beautiful new Policini track and field?
Yeah.
On the other hand, the spirit of the college, its intent, its mission, and its purpose, that has strengthened and been true to the same tenets as of its founding. I'm always so delighted to be able to speak to alums. Just this last weekend, we had Parent Weekend. We had a gentleman from the class of 1955 who spoke. He was the keynote speaker. And it was just wonderful to hear what he had to say about the role of the Basilian Fathers, the concept and the idea of teaching goodness and discipline and knowledge. My view that our mission has always been under that umbrella of teaching goodness, discipline, and knowledge, to help men and women build lives, create careers, and then go serve the community. Okay. What's remained constant also, in addition to the Basilian influence and our mission, what's remained constant is our respect for our heritage, and especially important, absolutely, unequivocally, our number one reason for existing, our primary focus is on our students. There's no other reason we're here. I never tire of reminding people of that, telling people that. I believe it, and we have an awful lot of students to be proud of. So I think on one hand, physically, the college has changed a lot for the new program developments, cutting edge technology, all the equipment in the variety of sports programs that we have, as you well know. Yeah. On the other hand, I think the spirit, the meaning, the purpose, those virtues that we so cherish have remained very much the same. The heart and soul are the same as they were when the college was founded, and yet we've accommodated those, I believe, those technological and accrediting requirements very, very effectively into the mission of the college.
And I love when you touch base about putting the students first and making sure that they can become successful when they're done here. And as you said in your president's message, going off of that, you said, quote, "College is where our students transition from young adulthood to independent members of society." So I guess, could you elaborate more on how does the faculty here and the staff prepare these students for their future endeavors?
Well, there's several levels. One thing, the exposure our students have to the various courses throughout the disciplines, I think helps them learn how to use their minds, how to analyze problems, how to speak powerfully, how to think critically, how to write effectively. In other words, effective communications and, importantly, analysis of ideas and issues. I think that's one way it works. I think another is, as young men and women become more accustomed to thinking in an analytical, critical way and having to respond in a measured, clear set of statements and thoughts, I think it matures them. It brings them from really young adulthood into an area where they realize they're going to be responsible for and accountable for what they do, but also what they say and how they say it. So I think that's one of the ways a formal education helps discipline the mind, it helps focus the purpose, it helps make people, I think, a little bit clearer about what their role is, what their passions are, and what their interests are. So I think that's one way it helps. The other is, I think, just the broadening experience of having to live amidst, for both, frankly, resident and commuter students, around a diverse group of people. I think that's has a very maturing effect. People learn to be tolerant. People learn to be courteous. One of the things that's always struck me in 40 years at the college is how civilized Fisher students are. Father Lavery, I've often said, gave me the secret to that. When parents sometimes wonder how, kids come home for holidays their freshman year and they seem so much different, so much more mature.
Yeah.
Then, of course, as Father Lavery always recommended that I do, put holy water in the coffee, and that straightens them right out.
Straightens them right out. They're transformed students as
Instantly.
they come back. Yeah.
Anyway, the other is, I think, a sense of a certain sense of optimism about the future, hope in what we see ahead, and belief in our mission. I often say there are many colleges and universities in this country where people get up in the morning and they're trying to figure out where they're going, what they are. To me, we have a clear and certain vision of where we're going, what our purpose is, who we're serving, and I've just been very honored to be able to be part of that for the last 40 years.
and I'm actually honored to be a part of a school and tradition along those lines as well. And so, as we most know, you are retiring from presidency at the end of this year.
Right.
What are your plans for after you retire?
Well, the immediate plan is I'm going to take a year-long sabbatical. Mm-hmm. I have not just shelves on my bookcases at home and in the office, but entire bookcases filled with books that I have wanted to read over the last 11 years of my presidency, and then 3 years prior to that as provost, that I've been waiting to get into. I'm very much looking forward to that. We now are up to 6 grandchildren. That's going to keep my wife and I pretty busy. I've had a couple of inquiries from different groups. One, actually 2 law firms who have been, I'm a former judge, as you know, and they had interest in me perhaps becoming of counsel, doing some work, perhaps as an expert witness or something.
Nice.
I haven't made any decisions there. But certainly the sabbatical year will be also involved, where appropriate, with in any way assisting with the transition of the new president. I believe so strongly that, and one of the reasons I felt this was a good time to step down as president, the college has never been more beautiful, it's never been in better shape, the students are marvelous, the faculty is world class, the staff is just terrific, and what a perfect time to hand things over to the next president. I just feel so strongly about that and so good about it. The other thing is, I'll do, and the Board of Trustees knows this, I'll do whatever it takes to help with the transition. I'm there for whoever's the next president, or, like any self-respecting CEO, when I retire, if the new president doesn't need or doesn't want anything I can do, I'm going to get the heck out of the way.
Yeah.
So
well, that's nice. You're there if they need
there.
be, and that's.
After that, I'm still a tenured professor at the college, so after a year sabbatical, perhaps I'd come back and do a little bit of teaching, do some writing,
Nice, yeah.
do some traveling. I'd love to move to Ireland for part of the year.
Wow, yeah.
It depends on my wife, of course, how she feels about it. But a lot of opportunities. I still feel very passionately about the college,
good.
and will do anything to support as it moves towards the next phase, without getting in the way in any sense.
Well, that sounds perfect. That's awesome. And as this past weekend, you end up attending the Fisher football game. What are your thoughts on that game, and as well as the Fisher program in a whole?
We have absolutely fantastic men and women athletes, and Meg and I, my wife and I, are so proud of the men and women sports teams, the coaching staffs, the support crews. It is so, I think, essential and at the same time uplifting to our students to be able to not only to participate but also to be involved with at various levels, from spectator to perhaps trainers and so forth. So we've been very supportive of the athletic program. My wife and I have been to just about every football game. I referenced earlier 40 years ago when we'd had to put the car lights on so the guys could see what they were doing. Our kids grew up with it. We've been to every game, every home game, certainly this year. I was especially proud because my wife was the coach of the week this past weekend. Tough weather.
That's right.
But I tell you, she was a trooper. She was out there the whole time.
Wow.
I was over in the Pelicano Pavilion, eating hot chili, and she was out there.
Out there in a poncho or something,
Yeah.
trying to stay dry.
Cheering the guys on. I thought it was a great game. And I've always been extremely proud of the team, the coaching staff, and of course, especially I admire Paul Vosberg for his tremendous knowledge of the game, and at the same time, his incredibly strong leadership. I have a great deal of respect, as we all do, for Paul, for all of the other coaches, the staff, and especially the fine young men who are out there every week, either at home or away games. I thought it was a very good game. Got a little uneasy first quarter when we were behind 14-17. Never had any doubts, however. Knew we'd finish strong. And not quite like the week before, 61-0, but 35-25 could have been 35-34.
Right.
It goes up
Exactly.
as a W. Enjoy it. You can see how the alums who come back, Parents Weekend, of course, the parents, and every time we have a home game, and even the away games, you can see what enjoyment, what camaraderie it brings out in the fans who are there. So very supportive. I believe strongly that sports, especially competitive sports, breeds a kind of, I think, a maturity. It helps people understand how to play by rules. It helps them learn the kind of discipline that brings self-confidence, and how attention to detail and working as a team bring the kind of results that, frankly, so far this season we've seen with our team is fantastic. So a 6-1 record at this point in the year, given the weather and, frankly, the stiffness of some of the competition. Couldn't be more proud.
Empire 8's a tough conference to be in.
Tough.
Yeah.
The joke was that Coach Vosberg let my wife have this season, it'll be her last probably, as Coach of the Week. Well, he let her have a cork in the whistle. So if she had any disputes with the refs, which she never has, of course, and it was well played, and no, contrary to belief in some quarters, I don't send plays in.
Oh, okay.
But I am, as my whole family is, very strong, ardent supporters of all of the sports, all of the men's and women's sports. But as you said, referring to the football game this last season, football, of course, is certainly an exciting and entertaining, and it's just a lot of fun to be out there on a nice fall day, or even if the weather isn't good.
Right, yeah. It's still something to do and something to watch and be a part of.
Just something to be
special.
a part of.
Yeah.
Very special.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for what you've done through this college over the many years you've been here.
Well, I've had an awful lot of help, and anything that's good that's happened, I'll give credit to the wonderful men and women around me. Anything that anything that's been overlooked, any stumbles, I'll take full responsibility for mine and mine alone. So I thank you for having this interview. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
God bless. Good luck.
Thank you. Same to you as well. Thank you. Coming up next on the show, we have running back freshman James Chambers, so don't go away.
Get your ass suit. You're not sitting here.
Yes, I am.
Move. Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help,
Ow.
but don't know how.
Oh, you got...
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
I'd now like to welcome running back James Chambers to the show. James, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, you're a transfer student from the University of Buffalo. You're a freshman on the football field, but a sophomore academically. What kind of made you choose Fisher and made you leave Buffalo?
Yes, well, Coach Vosberg is a good friend. He recruited me out of high school. When I was in high school, I was more looking towards trying to go D1, the big picture. So a week or two after signing day, a recruiting coach from the University of Buffalo called me, asked me if I would like to come there for the fall camp. I was pretty excited. I mean, it was D1, it was close to home, so I went there, made it through the whole season. Throughout the season, I didn't really feel comfortable. I didn't really feel close with the whole team, mostly the coaches. I felt like that was a big part of it. If I didn't feel close with the coach, I figured it would conflict with my playing time and how I'd play on the field. Yeah. So towards the end of that season, I got my release from University of Buffalo, emailed Coach Vaz, told him I'd like to come for a visit. I came 3 times last spring, so after the first time I knew I would want to come here. Yeah. Just the environment, Coach Vaz, I love Coach Vaz as a coach. Yeah. I already feel closer than him throughout this fall camp than I did all season with my coaches last year. So he's a big impact on why I've come here. School also is a great school, great education, and that's what I'm looking for.
And what's your major?
I'm a criminology major.
Okay, and do you feel like the program here is best suited for you?
Yes, professors I have right now, Barb Rockwell, she's a great professor. She's got some things for me throughout internships and whatnot. I'm looking to go into some sort of law enforcement, not exactly sure what, but
yeah. Yep. And that's always nice when you attend a college. You want to feel comfortable both on the football field, but also in the classroom as well. So that's nice that Fisher was able to give you a little bit of both of that. And as you said, you played football there. So can you tell me, besides the coaches, but the physical workouts, or what's the difference between a Division I type program to the Division III level here at Fisher?
Well, it's definitely what you sign up for. Division I. When going into fall camp, we started August 3rd. Camp was 3 weeks long. Basically 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every night. Wow. Excluding Saturday and Sunday, but workouts, you have a personal trainer for each group. You're in a certain group with 3 or 4 kids. They help you go through the workout. So, I mean, the workouts are a lot more intense there. They make sure that they need to get you ready for the Division I level, and that's what they do. That was a good part. I like that about the University of Buffalo. Practices, we had 24-period practices, 5 minutes a period. So we would go full pads twice a week, helmet, shoulder pads the rest of the week. Practice is much more, I'd say it's much more intense, but
I mean, it's a Division I level, so I mean, to an extent, it's not like Division III is a wash, but I mean, you're comparing. It is Division I level.
It is Division I, so basically, what you see is what you sign up for. So yeah.
And how do you feel? You've played really well this year, running the ball. And how do you feel? That performance so far this season has really helped you.
Yes. Well, last year when I went to the University of Buffalo, they switched me to a defensive back. Oh. So this year is my first year getting back into the offensive scheme, running the ball. But just going hard, just working at it every day, practicing how you play. We're doing good so far. I'm glad that my performances had a good impact for the team. That's what I'm looking to do. So just keep going, working hard every day, just hopefully do the best I can.
What's it like being a part of such a winning tradition here at Fisher? They're pretty successful year in and year out. So what's it like being a part of a team like that?
It's just a great position that I'm in. I'm honored to be part of the team, a winning program. I knew they were a winning program coming into this season. And Corey Balzerzak, he's a former lineman, All-American. He's from my high school. So I've came to watch him a few times when he played. He's now helping coach us. But it's a great feeling, great to be part of a winning team as always.
Yeah, and this Saturday, big matchup against Ithaca at home. If you guys win that game, you clinch a Empire 8 conference title. What's your mindset heading into that matchup?
We just got to prepare every day, take it day by day, and when Saturday comes, we got to go to work, We got to beat Ithaca, clinch the title, and that's what we're looking to do.
What are your expectations for the rest of the year, after hoping you guys make it, beyond? What's your expectations from here on out?
From here on out, win the 8, after that, playoffs, take it week by week. Hopefully we keep improving. That's what we need to do, improve, and hopefully just win, get to Virginia for the national title.
That'd be nice. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show with me today, and good luck with all your future endeavors and whatnot, and keep working on the gridiron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to all the viewers who tuned in to watch this edition of Fisher Football Focus. I'd also like to thank all the guests who appeared on the show today. Be sure to attend this weekend's home game as the Cardinals take on Ithaca in a pivotal Empire 8 matchup this Saturday at 1 o'clock. With a win, Fisher can clinch the Empire 8 conference title. I'll wrap up the show with this quote from Lou Holtz. Your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you are willing to do. Your attitude determines how well you do it. My name's Kyle Lumsden, and we'll see you next time on Fisher Football Focus.